All right, you guys. So selling sets, selling sets. So the first step, you gotta love Cutco. I mean, not just Cutco, but you have to love all the Cutco. And then step two, explain why you love all the Cutco. And then step three is explain why they love all the Cutco, why Mrs. Jones loves all the Cutco. So these sets that we have, the sets that we make, they're great because sets have the right tool for the right job. And I know you guys have heard this plenty of times, but I just want to make sure that everyone really understands what that actually means. So imagine like, okay, so I know you guys have a couple of different pairs of shoes, right? Like at least two, maybe four or five or 10. So imagine looking at your sandals, so your favorite pair of sandals, right? And thinking that you can just slip them on your way to soccer practice and be just fine. Ridiculous, right? I mean, come on. You have cleats for that. And then you're not going to go to church all dressed up head to toe with cleats on over your dress socks, right? No, you're going to wear your heels, your dress shoes. You have the right shoe for every occasion. This is the same concept. Having the right tool for the right job is so important. Your super cool uncle that loves building things out in his shop, he isn't going to try to hammer a screw into the wood, right? No, he has a screwdriver for his screws. I mean, he might be able to, and you know what? If somebody didn't ever sell him a screwdriver, he probably would get by with trying to hammer in his screws for the rest of his life, which probably works okay. But if your uncle was trying to screw nails into wood for the rest of his life, I mean, that might work, but it would just be a pain in the ass. I mean, he probably would hate building things, but he loves it because his time in the shop is super efficient and effective because he has a hammer for nails and a screwdriver for screws, the right tool for the right job. When Mrs. Jones is in the kitchen, don't you think it's the same kind of thing? I mean, she doesn't she doesn't need to be trying to spread peanut butter with that dinky little short-handled paring knife that she has. That's ridiculous. She's probably in her kitchen trying to cut open a watermelon with her chef knife. No wonder why she hates it. And then the next day she's getting mad because she just started getting into baking. I don't know, because she needed a new hobby during quarantine or whatever. But she's getting mad as hell because she's trying to use the same chef knife to slice her bread and it squishes down to half the size. And she just doesn't understand why her chopping knife is not slicing her bread. Mrs. Jones, chopping knives are for chopping, slicers are for slicing. I mean, this knowledge, it's just so second nature to us at this point, but that's because you and I have had training. You know, we're knifologists, right? This kind of information is just common sense to us at this point. Obviously, every tool in the basic set is going to be used over a lifetime. I mean, come on. But Mrs. Jones doesn't know any better. She didn't go to knife school like we did. You know, she doesn't know that she shouldn't be trying to cut a big fat butternut squash with a trimmer or try to peel her apples with the same knife that she just tried to do with her chicken. I mean, no wonder why she doesn't love cooking. She doesn't know any better. And that's why we're here. So we know the value of each piece in the homemaker set, right? We've been trained to know why each piece in the homemaker set is so important and necessary. So before I get into the part about how to present the pieces of the homie, I want you guys to drop in the chat box, why do people choose sets? So just drop something in the chat box. There's no wrong answers. I just want to make sure we're kind of on the same page with this before I continue. Nice. Yeah, Cutco sets have the right tool for the right job, right? Cutco sets come with a built-in discount, so they're more affordable, exactly. Yeah, not only do our sets come with crazy discounts, I don't even know if you guys realize it, but by buying a set versus buying each piece over time, Mrs. Jones is saving like over $200. And she gets a cutting board and a touch-up tool and a free pair of $100 super shears and that crazy entertainer back for free. Wild. Yeah, sets are safer, exactly. They come in the block of the tray. Okay, yeah, you guys got it. And probably the most important thing about the homemaker set is that it just has the minimum number of tools to do 100% of the jobs in the kitchen as efficiently as possible. I mean, that's why it's called the basic set, because it just has the basic tools that Mrs. Jones needs in her kitchen to prepare food. So what's cool about our presentations is that, okay, so your job as a high quality kitchen consultant, our job as a high quality kitchen consultant, which is what we are, is to provide Mrs. Jones information that adds value to her life and to her kitchen. So doing this starts with you just figuring out what kind of things Mrs. Jones does in her kitchen every day. So none of us are mind readers, right? So you have to ask her questions about what kind of things she prepares. You know, how many times a week or how many times a day does she cook? You have to get her to talk about what kinds of things she makes so that you can do your part and add value to Mrs. Jones by recommending her to use certain tools for certain jobs. You know which knives are used for what. And Mrs. Jones knows what kinds of things she prepares. So it's your job to connect the two. Again, you're the consultant with a specialty in knives. You know what you're talking about. It's your job to connect what Mrs. Jones makes in the kitchen with the tools that relate to that job. So you have to be using examples. You have to be using examples. You have to use examples from her life so that she can relate to the information that you're sharing with her. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, Mrs. Jones knows what she makes in the kitchen, but she doesn't know the uses of or the importance of having the right tool for the right job yet. And you know which tools are for which jobs, but you don't know what types of things Mrs. Jones prepares yet. So it's your job to figure these things out by asking her a ton of questions so that you can listen and understand what her kitchen life looks like. So that then you can present the information that you know, like, all your knife knowledge. You can present the information to her in a way that she really understands the value behind having a set. So selling sets. So the first things first, you need to be sold on the concept of a homemaker. So you need to really understand the importance behind having the right tool for every job. A good way to sell more sets is to get excited about every single piece in the homemaker set. So as you go through the names and uses, if you get super fired up about the spatula spreader and you spend 5 minutes on that alone, you're probably going to sell a lot of spatula spreaders. Or if you absolutely love the trimmer and you want to use it for everything, you're probably going to sell a lot of trimmers because you're the expert in knives. So Mrs. Jones is learning from you that the only knife she needs is the trimmer. But if you get excited about every piece in the homemaker set, what do you think you're going to start selling more of? Right, sets. And whether or not Mrs. Jones gets the homemaker set, that's not the biggest goal here. The biggest goal is to get her in the homemaker mentality. So your job is to get Mrs. Jones to understand the concept of the homemaker set. Even if that's not the set that she starts out with for whatever reason, we just need to make sure that she gets the concept of how important it is to have the right tool for every job. You have to understand that you're doing Mrs. Jones a service by selling her a set versus individual knives. She needs every tool because she does every job. And a really great way to do this, you guys, along with just getting excited about every single piece, is while you're going through the names and uses, is to start linking the knives together. So make sure that Mrs. Jones knows that each knife is equally important to the set because each has their own job and that her set is a team. And that's why it's so important. So all of her knives in the set work together to make her time in the kitchen safer, faster, and more fun and enjoyable. So your job isn't necessarily to sell Mrs. Jones a homemaker set, but to get her to have the homemaker mentality. So the homemaker mentality of just understanding exactly why the homemaker set makes the most sense. Again, whether she gets that set today or not. The key to presenting the names and uses of the basic set is to present the pieces as relevant to each other versus as competing with one another. So I'll say that again. So presenting the pieces of the homemaker set as relevant to one another versus competing against each other. Because they're all part of the same team. They're working together to help Mrs. Jones be as efficient as possible in the kitchen. So super quick example of this. So having the right tool for the right job, right? So there's a small, medium, and large utility knife, the trimmer, petite carver, and then the carving knife. Small, medium, and large utility knives. So the trimmer for small stuff on the cutting board, and the petite carver for things too small for the carving knife, but too big for the trimmer. And then none of these are chopping knives, and that's why you have your petite chef, the chopper of your set. And then, do you guys catch that? It's not just, this is the chef knife, but this is the chopper of your set. Just another member of the team, right? And that's how you have to present it. So again, it's your job to get her thinking about why it's so important to have the right tool for every job. There's a reason why we have sets. Mrs. Jones needs to know why every tool matters and how having the set will add value to her life. And the best way to show her that is by helping her paint this vivid picture in her head of using the set. So before you started telling Mrs. Jones about knives, she didn't even have the slightest clue how important it is to have the right tool for the right job. And again, that's why we're here, to see how we can provide her with the best value for her and her family. So it's important to ask her just a ton of questions about what kind of things she does in the kitchen so that you can explain why all the tools are valuable to her. We have to do this for every piece in the set. So you have to create this vivid picture in Mrs. Jones's mind so that she can relate to what you're saying. To do this, you just have to find out what kinds of things Mrs. Jones cooks in the kitchen. When we ask Mrs. Jones, hey, what would you use a paring knife for? She's going to start thinking about, well, if she had that paring knife, what would she be using it for? And that's why we ask questions like that. we have the knife knowledge and she has the what I make in the kitchen knowledge. She starts listing off things that she'll use her paring knife for, apples, strawberries, bananas. Yeah, absolutely right, Mrs. Jones. You'll use this for small jobs in the air like those, but never on a cutting board. And her little daydream is going to go poof because she didn't even know that she was misusing her paring knife every time she touched it on the cutting board. Mrs. Jones, that's why you have your trimmer. So you have to ask her these discovery questions and get her talking about what she does in the kitchen so that you can guide her in a way that helps her understand why each piece is a part of the team. You guys understand that? So now let's talk value. So Cutco knives are made of the highest quality material. You guys know this. Thermoresin wedge lock handles, full chain construction, high grade steel, exclusive double stay sharp edge, all that good stuff. And they're guaranteed forever. So it's the last set of knives Mrs. Jones would ever need to buy. And they can be resharpened or replaced for free, literally forever. No one else does that, you guys, because no one else is Cutco. So real quick, let me review why so many people choose to invest in sets. You guys know this part, right? It's just part of the script. So there are several reasons why so many customers choose our sets. Cutco sets have the right tool for the right job. Cutco sets have, so they have the right tool for the right job, right? Mrs. Jones isn't going to be trying to cut a watermelon with the same knife she just chopped onions with. I know we just talked about this, but I'm just reviewing real quick. So Cutco sets have a built-in discount, so it's more affordable. Sets come with a free cutting board and other free bonuses. The sets are much safer because they come in the block or the tray. And we have interest-free monthly investment options, so you don't have to pay for it all at once. And that's not even to mention the fact that they can try the entire set out in their own kitchen for an entire month just to make sure they both, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, both see the value. This is pretty cool stuff, you guys. But does this sound familiar? I mean, this is all in the script, isn't it? Do you guys understand what the script even says? So when you're buying anything, there's always a wide range of quality and prices. I mean, you can use any example, cars, shoes, laptops, anything. Cutco is top rated. It's literally the world's finest set of cutlery. So obviously we aren't going to compare to an $80 Farberware knife set from Walmart. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have used that example. We're going to compare to the highest quality brands, our top competitors. So that's who we're going to compare to. Wusthof and Shun are great knives. People love their Wusthof. And they're super duper sharp, and people definitely see the value of a great set of knives like these. J. Brad actually said that if he didn't have Cutco, he'd have Wusthof. I mean, they're a great set. And price-wise, a set that's comparable to the Homey, but in Wusthof is $34.35. And again, people love their Wusthof. Sometimes they can even find them on sale for $2,000, which is normal for a set of kitchen knives that work well and are good enough to get the job done. A couple things about Wusthof, though. They do recommend sharpening each knife before each use. And you have to wash them by hand, which is fine. People do that. But just in that alone, Mr. and Mrs. Jones have to add a whole extra hour to their family mealtime just for pre and post cooking. But they still do it. $2,000 for a set of great knives is normal. And now, although Wusthof is great, it's not the best. Cutco is the best set of knives somebody could own. And like I said, Wusthof is great, but just considering our forever guarantee and unique features, like that double D stay sharp edge, our universal lock your hand into place handle, Cutco is at least twice as good as even Wusthof. And of course, when something offers twice the quality and lasts forever, you'd naturally expect it to be twice the price. And at twice the price, you're talking over $4,000 for a set of Cutco, which would last someone forever. The average knife, you guys, is designed to last around 2 years. Wusthof probably lasts a little bit longer than that, but not forever. And people waste a ton of money replacing bad knives over and over again. Cutco is such a great investment because they never have to buy another set ever again, and you can't beat American made and forever guarantee. Cutco is the best, you guys, and we know that. But like I said, Mrs. Jones doesn't know any of this until you tell her, and she won't listen to anything you tell her until you make sure that you're presenting it in a way that's relevant to her. So it's important to first understand why Cutco really is the world's finest set of cutlery. As soon as I actually realized that, the whole game changed. So like I said, step one, you have to love Cutco. Not just Cutco, but all the Cutco, homemaker mentality. If you don't have Cutco yet because you're still in your fast start, all I can say is that you better get some Cutco. The best way to understand what I'm talking about is to actually be able to use it. And so exactly the same way, the best way for Mrs. Jones to understand the value is by it being relevant to her. So that brings me to step number 2 again. So explain why you love all the Cutco. Again, homemaker mentality, right tool for the right job. And then step 3, explain why Mrs. Jones loves all the Cutco. You have to help her develop the homemaker mentality. Having a set of Cutco is going to save her time, money, and it'll make her life more enjoyable because whether or not she gets a set of Cutco, she's still going to be cooking for her family. Could you imagine Mrs. Jones learning all of this great stuff from you and then having her go back to her 3 old greasy wooden handle knives that she got from a garage sale after hearing what kind of possibilities there are for her kitchen? Are you guys going to help Mrs. Jones with a set, something that she'll enjoy and appreciate literally every day until she dies? Or are you going to continue to let her hate cooking for the rest of her life? I mean, come on. Everyone deserves a set of Cutco. Help her out. That's all I'm going to say. All right, the end.
All right, that was fantastic, Jordan. Appreciate that. While you were talking, I was able to make these breakouts. Did you tell the story about your mom?
No.
Yeah, because that was like my favorite part of what we were going to do. And I know we're at the time here, but I got 5 minutes of announcements and then we'll let you guys have some little breakouts. But yeah, you were talking to me when we talked a few days ago about your mom and how she wasn't a big fan of the job and kind of what, what's her opinion on the knives and stuff now, and how did that develop?
Now?
Yeah, just tell us.
Oh yeah, so she started out, she was kind of in the same like, what for knives? And then I got my fast start prizes and she kept stealing them. She would like sneak them. So she works in a restaurant just for fun and she would like sneak them into the restaurant and I would catch her coming back and I'm like, Mom, my knives. And she's like, yeah. And then so we finally like talked about it and she's like, okay, I get it. And so it was pretty cool because she really was sneaking my knives to go
So
cook.
she was basically, when you first did the demo for, oh my gosh, that's too much money. Nobody's going to spend that much money on knives, but then after using it, now I get it, right? And so that's the confidence that we've got to have, even though some people need to be influenced a little bit, persuaded perhaps, to be able to do to do and put that order in. But now it's totally different. I'm gonna let you guys know a couple of things here. Thank you, Jordan. By the way, you got beautiful stuff. I want to make sure that you guys know a couple of things. I just sent a link in a manager group me, okay, to a folder on a Google Drive that has 2 of Jordan's demos. I'm about to put a 3rd one up there. I haven't been all the way through it, but 2 demos that Jordan has done. And it starts close to the beginning. I think one of them shows doing the pre-demo questions and everything like that, all the way to the closing. And, you're going to need to invest about an hour in one of them and about 45 minutes in the other. But I'm not going to just post it publicly, okay? Because here's what I've learned, and managers pay very close attention because this is training for you and just human nature. If we just I just put it in the group chat, most everybody would be like, oh, cool, I can watch a demo. That's going to be really great. And you'd be really excited to do it. But because we as humans are natural procrastinators, out of 100 and something people that would get it, 1 or 2 people would actually take the time, invest the time to watch it. I know you might think, oh, you're being so negative. I'm just telling you what happens. I've been doing this for a long, long, long time, okay? But if you say to your manager, hey, I'd like to see one of those demos, I'd like to watch one, you actually take the time to ask for it. And then your manager sends it to you on the condition that once you watch it, you've got to send back a couple of takeaways, 2 or 3 nuggets. We're going to get about 80% to 90% of you will actually take the time. And there is probably nothing better for you in training than watching an actual demo, live demo with a customer, listening to all the objections that they give. And every one of these ones that I've watched, these customers like, no, I don't think I can buy anything. I don't think I can buy anything. I don't think I can buy anything. It's not really a good time. Okay, homemaker, right? And it's like, what just happened? Okay, you can watch these things. Your manager has it, but you've got to ask your manager for it. Okay. And managers, don't just post it all on your group me. Okay. Be stingy with this information. I know we want everybody to get it, but we want them to get it the right way with the right feedback and watch it the right way. Okay. And I will tell you, those of you that do decide to invest in this, game over. Okay. Invest some time and energy. It is super valuable.